What episode is this? Welcome to the Church Collective Podcast, episode number 17.
Season 3?
Season 4.
Season 4?
3. We don't have seasons.
There should be season 2.
We started season 2 last year and we did like 2 of them. And then we didn't do anything.
Season 2.5.
Right.
Hey everybody. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Church Collective Vlog. Mm-hmm. This week, Ryan, tell them what we're talking about.
Yeah, we had the opportunity, myself, Fox, and James had the opportunity to head down to NAMM, Winter NAMM in Anaheim as just a house of worship team, which was a really cool opportunity. As far as I heard, this is one of the first times they've opened that up to just like houses of worship. So we went on down and we saw a lot of stuff. And so what we want to do in this video is give you guys a little bit of an insight from a worship team's perspective. Now that this is being opened up to more and more people, should you take your worship team to NAMM?
First of all, let's do overall impressions. I know you guys, this was my first time at NAMM, and where I'm at is I'm kind of more involved in video broadcast side of our church, and I do play a little bit of music too. So it was, I've always heard of NAMM, but my first time going. You guys have been a few times. What would you say to someone who hadn't been to NAMM before? How would you describe it?
Sensory overload. NAMM is a wonderful collection of musicians and music makers, and there is so many things to see, so many things to hear, so many things to touch and do and feel, that it's really just an overload of senses hitting you in the face. But through that is a really cool experience as a musician, as a technologist, to get hands-on and see what's coming out from the major players for the following fiscal year, what techs are coming, emergent technology, and just really see them firsthand and get a feel for what's going on.
It's important to give your moving lights a bath every once in a while, so this is pretty nice. We need this to wash our moving lights. This is the piece of equipment we're looking at.
So I know for you, one real fun moment for me was watching your face when we went up to the Avid booth. So you're a production guy, right? Uh-huh. That's your whole thing, live audio. And Avid had this spread there, and man, this guy walks in and gone. His face, he's like, Disneyland is right across the street. I mean, it's Anaheim.
I wish I could be over there, but that's not where we are today.
But his Disneyland was right there in that moment. That was a cool moment.
The cool thing, about that is that Avid has this huge booth, and when I walked up, they're doing a clinic on surround mixing, and then surround mixing for an Atmos system, which most of us as churches, we're not going to have Atmos systems, ever. But the people that were giving the demonstration were Chris Lord-Alge and Tom Lord-Alge, who are top shelf mixers. So having them give a little demonstration of how to mix for a room was super, super cool. And that's an experience you're not going to get outside of that. So as someone coming in, a technologist, a front of house engineer, a sound guy, to be able to go and spend an hour and learn from probably the best two dudes in the universe for mixing sound, like that's an experience you can't get anywhere else, I don't think.
Yeah.
Super cool. What do you think, Ryan?
So answer me to go on that question, because we did see lots of the celebrities, even in the worship world, a lot of celebrity worship instrumentalists and singers, come across a lot of them. I admittedly didn't pay a lot of attention. Is there a way to see where all these people are all the time? How would you know? Because there's just so many things going on. Like, how is there a schedule for that anywhere?
There is. If you're going to go to NAMM, there's a free app that will show you who's doing what, where, and when, as well as an interactive map and guide.
Sure.
So that was handy, at least for me on the second day, trying to go to all where I wanted to go and see what I wanted to see, was to know where I was going and then who was going to be doing a demonstration of what and where.
For sure, that map is clutch. There were places like we would never have even found. I know, Ryan, you missed it, and we kind of split up a little bit. Just knowing on several levels, there are manufacturers and retailers that have their own stores built into ballrooms of the convention center. And so having that map was absolutely clutch for just knowing, okay, I want to hit this next. I want to go and see what Gibson have got going on the top floor, So that map is for sure, you need that thing going on.
So that'd be the big thing I learned, is that I didn't plot myself out. I kind of just went to experience it, and had some happy circumstances where I stumbled in, and it's Paul Reed Smith talking about his stuff and doing riffs and things like that. That was really cool. But I definitely just went in and kind of just wanted to walk around and enjoy it. But to get the most out of it, I think it would have been good, especially if you're taking 5, 6, your whole team to sit down and really, you're going to have to do some homework. You're going to have to plot that day out to really get the most bang for your buck. And because there's a lot of cool things. I'm sure there's probably dozens of things that I would have absolutely loved that I was probably standing 50 feet from that I didn't know was happening, and I probably never will. Yeah. But
sure. Yeah. So we were we were guys that went in knowing that we weren't necessarily going to buy much. We didn't really have a budget walking in. We just kind of wanted to go see what was up, see what was, coming up, connect, meet with people. Is it worth going if you don't have a budget or you're not ready to spend the money there and then? Is it still worth it?
Absolutely. Like I was saying, it's you get hands-on with new emerging technology. PreSonus is there every year, and every year they launch a new console or something. So to be able to go and see, if you're a PreSonus user, what's coming next from the PreSonus line before it's available, before you can buy it. If there's a new software update coming in a couple months, they're probably going to showcase that there. Yeah. So you can see and literally touch and feel and interact with things that you may in the future be investing in, things that you may want to buy for your team, buy for your church, things like that. Even if you're an instrumentalist, what's Taylor got coming? What's Fender got coming down the pipe in the next year? And to go and get hands-on and try that out, see if you're going to like it, see if it's going to be a worthwhile investment. But yeah, just going, even if you don't buy anything, I don't think we bought anything, but the experience of seeing what's coming was totally beneficial.
There was a point at which I feel like one thing we also got from it was just some ideas that we could bounce around. Totally. And so you remember the smoke bubbles?
Oh, yeah.
See, for me, that was like a mind-blowing thing. And I know, Ryan, you turned to the both of us at the time and we're like, yeah, that's our Christmas program.
We're going to have some fun next Christmas.
This year. That's for sure going in the Christmas program.
It's a haze machine and a bubble machine in the same machine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so you've got these little bubbles. We'll play a clip over this, but there's little bubbles literally hitting the ground and exploding with fog. We got way too excited about that than we ever should have. But that's a cool thing just to keep ideas, for programs. I know for us, it can be difficult to keep thinking of something new for things like Christmas and Easter, but things like that kind of just help, keep your wheels turning, and, maybe that is something we'll revisit this Christmas.
Yeah.
Who knows? So one thing I think you hear a lot about with NAMM, at least I'd heard, my first time kind of just going into it, is that it's just a guitarist paradise, right? It's literally just room to room guitar. That's what you're going for. I don't know that I'd say that was accurate based off of what I saw. What do you guys feel about that? I thought there was plenty there.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. I think that the NAMM is partly dominated by the 6 strings, but there's so much more that's there. And you have anyone who has ever built or currently builds custom instruments is going to be there. The major players are always there. Gibson, Fender, Shure, Taylor, Martin, they're all there too. But there's also a lot of the smaller players that have booths there also. So if you are really into Ovation guitars, they got a booth. If you're into Breedlove, a Seagull, things like that, like they're all going to be there. So you can still see some of what the names are doing that aren't as big of a name as some of the others. Shure and Sennheiser for microphones are always there. This year MXL had a huge booth, and MXL is sort of like the musician's friend of microphones. They're okay. They're going to do the job. They're not Shure, Sennheiser, but they're clones and copies of, and they had a booth there, and they have all their new stuff coming out too, so we can get and see and hear some of what they're doing. It's just really neat to see all the powerhouses and all the little guys in the same room competing. But there's everything from guitars and then basses, and even brass instruments and woodwinds and horns and all that stuff. All the orchestral instruments are all showcased there also from their manufacturers. So if you are on the side, you're a strings player, they have the stuff there too also. Choral music, they have a whole, Hal Leonard's got a huge setup there for their choral and their concert band series.
There was one point, like walking through one hall, there was just rows and rows of saxophones.
Yeah.
And it just catches your eye because it's like, gold, brass, just that color glinting.
Yeah.
It's really cool just to look at. And I don't
Right.
play a wind instrument. I'm not at all about wind instruments, but that was just a really cool thing just to, there were people jamming away.
Yeah.
We walked past the one point and Victor Wooten is playing, playing along.
Victor Wooten's playing bass.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah. But there's so much to see and do there. Even from the pro audio standpoint, like we talked about earlier with Avid being there and what Pro Tools is doing, and Avid's new consoles that are coming up for large format mixing, and there's even stuff for like digital composers if you write music. Some of the larger manufacturers for like sample libraries are going to be there. You want to hear a new keys player, and you got Omnisphere. You want to branch out from something like that. See what the other libraries are containing as far as samples for keys and pads and things like that. That's all there. All the pro audio that you can think of is going to be there too. So it's not just a guitarist paradise like you were saying, but it's really a music maker's paradise.
I agree with that too. And maybe one thing, Ryan, you can speak a little bit about this, is that I feel like even take away what you're actually going for, take away the instrumental stuff, the pro audio, take away all the practical reasons to go. I think it was just a cool time for a few of our team just to go away and,
Sure.
just spend that time together kind of chatting and ideating and dreaming. Like, did you feel that alone was probably worth it? Like, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you can get your team away from your context, it's super helpful. He hasn't had his coffee yet. And I think I was just kind of thinking as you guys were talking too, like the fact that NAMM covers so many things, and frankly for the value that we were able to just the cost it took us to get there, I think you get a lot of bang for your buck. Versus even just a similar conference or something where kind of everybody's sitting in the same keynote. And, we do conferences too. And sometimes that keynote might not really be necessary for every single person in that room. And when you're at NAMM, you have the opportunity to broaden out. I know there were times where we all split up and did stuff. And a few hours later, we'd catch up and talk and bring things into context from 3 different angles towards our current church. And you don't get that opportunity at a whole lot of conferences. So you might want to think of this as an alternative to a conference for a year to bring in, and you may want to bake some leadership and team building stuff in if you're the head of that trip. Like you might want to find opportunity to steal away and do that, and there's plenty to do because there's not much of a schedule to NAMM other than making sure you're catching the right people on the right stages if there's something you really want to see, but it's kind of just open every day. And
we
you
spent a little time at downtown Disney,
of course,
taking it, because why wouldn't you? We were all kind of like, do we drop the money to go into the park? No. So
thought about it.
Rise of the Resistance was just out too, so that was a bummer.
We wouldn't have got on anyway.
No, we wouldn't have for sure.
The rest of the park would have been wide open.
Right.
That's true. It was a super, I think it was a super cool time. I enjoyed it, even as a guy that, you guys are kind of more into the pro audio and instrumental world than I am. Coming from a guy who's just, enjoys music on a intermediate level. but also kind of is involved in the production side of church in terms of video, I still think it was probably worth the experience for me. I mean, there were cool little things. There was that, you remember that video arm, like the PTZ kind of arm that you can mount your own camera on. So that's always a question that a bunch of churches have, is how do I like properly live stream? How do I have a good setup that I can, you know, use for a good stream that is still versatile and still able to look good? And so that was a really cool thing to just stumble across right in the middle of, you know, instruments everywhere. Was this one company doing this video arm. So that was a cool moment, and really just watching some of the wacky, bizarre stuff. Like there was a piano there that was completely like all black, black everything, black keys, and it was like, it looked like a rubber feel to it. I don't even know how to describe it, but it just looked cool. And I enjoyed watching that. And Gibson had like live shows going on up in their thing. I stumbled across that at one point. It was just a cool experience. And so if nothing else, I would say, even if you're just looking for a good experience, it's a great place to go.
Another thing is, like we talked about all the musicians and what it brings for them in the pro audio. There's also a lot of lighting stuff and DJ stuff too. So if you're looking to branch out into production lighting and seeing what's coming down the pipe as far as fixtures and what these fixtures are capable of doing, anything wireless DMX is blowing up these days. Just seeing what's available and seeing what's coming up. And we talked about that haze and bubble machine, and that was just one of the cool things that we saw. As far as lighting goes, and DJ booths and all that stuff. So it's not just guitars.
Insert clip of Fox dancing here.
Yeah.
Dang it. It's not just guitars, it's not just musicians, but any sort of production, it's all going to be right there.
So let's do it. Let's give the definitive answer. And we kind of chatted a little bit about it. If just in 10 seconds or less, should a church team go to NAMM? If so, yes, then explain. If no, explain that.
Absolutely. I think that the benefits of seeing what's coming and preparing yourself and future-proofing yourself and your ministry is unparalleled.
I say yeah, if it fits your budget. If you're maybe trying to fly 20 people across the country to get to it, I don't know. You'll have to weigh that out to your budget, but it's a very good value for what you're getting.
I'd agree with that too. Yes, based on experience alone, even if you're going without a budget to actually make purchases, I think it was well worth it. I had a great time. It was fun hanging out with you guys.